So, slightly less silly end product after I took 5 minutes to clean this up. We did have some issues during said video dealing with classes and color codes and switching between them. So this is how I resolve those. We have a behavior called materialized CSS behaviors, color behaviors, and it provides a helper function called color transform. So what we do when we make HAX capable elements to bind to color, right? So to bind to this button right here, and we could do the text with the accessibility setting, which I'll add after this too, but the way that we get that bound into HAX is that we bind to a color code. So if we look at a snippet, an example of the hero banner image, we can see we have a button hyphen color, and it actually takes a hex code. However, what ends up getting applied here, if we dig in, is orange darken 2. And that orange darken 2 comes from button color being set. Button color gets updated, but then button color class says, oh, whenever button color changes, I need to recompute. And then it recomputes, making sure that it looks like a hex code, takes it, converts it to lowercase, and then runs color transform. Color transform is this really big array that that loops through this and basically identifies that hex code and then says, oh, it equals, in this case, brown darken 1 or orange darken 2. And so then it puts the class name in place. The reason to do that is that color pickers, generally speaking, are going to emit a hex value, but I don't want to store a hex value. Like, that's not really semantic. People can't just glance at that and know what it is. So to see this in action at the end here, if we open up our hero banner again, I'm going to find hero banner in HAX, which I've just thrown it in here, for local development purposes for that silly video. I'm going to refresh on the page here, edit, and we'll do make, and then we're going to do our hero image, and we get our placeholder like before. This is the text to place here. Then an image, we need a .jpg, there we go. Plants are cool. And then details are, find out how PSU is using plants to change the world. That's pretty much what all banner images are forever, right? And so then we can put in a link to the featured article, and now we can get dynamic color binding between that. So that wasn't working when I shot that silly video a second ago. However, I've showed this in previous videos. So it's fine if I do black, right? Because it's white text. However, that's an accessibility nightmare right there, right? You are totally getting sued if you do stuff like that. So let's see how we fix that. So in hero banner, I'm going to take a page from video player because video player has this capability built in. So we've got secondary color and secondary color and secondary color class are very important in this little scenario we're about to rig up here. So I'm going to copy both of them. And I don't want users to be able to mess with the that white text, right? So we have a secondary color in this case, and a text color comes into play here somewhere. There it is. So whenever secondary color changes in this example, then we're going to generate text color relative to it. And this ensures contrast is properly set. So if I look for text color, see there's text color and text color class. So I do that same little paradigm of computing one off of the other that I do for the banner. So I didn't actually want that, sorry, I wanted text color. And so text color, we're going to say is white to start. Okay, then in this little video player example, we have support for white text and black text. There we go. Okay, so then this is going to make sure that when we compute that class, that we're going to get the binding to the correct class color name. Then in our little video player here, we basically wire in the secondary class, which would be your background color, and then the text color class after it, so that it always takes priority. And so in here, similarly, we're going to do button color class, and then we're going to do text color class. And then we're going to take out our definitions of the color of the link. And then, okay, so we've got that in place. Now we need to, it's not bad to have a default. Now we've got text color class. Now we need to look at and notice, actually we need to notice that button color class has changed, which in this case fires compute, but we're going to need to change it to be that secondary. There we go. Secondary color changed, which runs this little function. Really good at just stealing stuff from myself over and over again. So compute color class, button color class. So we need to note, we need an observer for when button color has changed, I believe. Yes. Okay. So observer. And the observer will be button color changed. I like to keep these fairly similar because that way you can copy and paste, obviously. Okay, and then the property to look at in this case is button color. Okay, so compute text property contrast, which is then going to set text color dynamically, and when text color changes, it's going to run compute color class. So let's try and illustrate this in our example here first. So if the button color is that, let's make the button color in this case just black. And then in this case, we're just going to make it white to see if our contrast script is working. All right, so there's find out more, and we have an error in here, compute text prop contrast is not a function. Well, that would be nice if it was a function, now wouldn't it? That would be rather helpful. If it was a function, it should be a function because it's in media behaviors, or sorry, materialize behaviors. So compute text prop contrast, make sure I have that defined somewhere. It should be in materialize CSS styles. Oops. It's not in there. I could have sworn there was a contrast in here. Oh, it's in accessibility. That is why. Okay. So this is definitely one of the slightly more obnoxious things about behaviors is, right, you need a good routine for getting them all in. There we go. Okay. Knowing what behaviors you're going to use, right? I don't use the A11Y behaviors functionality as we've assembled it all the time. And so I didn't realize that was what was included there. So it's easy to implement. I copied that behavior from there, and we add it to our list of behaviors. I like to make these more readable. Okay, so now we've got HAX behaviors, A11Y, and materialize, and then we need the import for it. So A11Y behaviors. Okay, paste it in there. We'll see if I just have it. I might have to get the dependency, yeah, if that's what I figured. So that's easy enough too. Polymer, whoops, Bower install -- save LRN, and then A11Y behaviors. Okay, now let's see if that works. Hey, there we go. All right. So we've got that there, and you'll see This one is clear. I think because there isn't actually a value for that. Let's see if it throttles it. Here we go, white text. And let's make this, make it what it was previously. Okay, so it's still white text. We need to go and find a color on the materialized CSS colors that would trigger this to flip over. So let's find something really light. Yeah, like that. And so I need to plug in that color code. Let's see if we can't get it to flip over. There we go. So now it's black on the white text. So now, like this is a really good way, or a good example of how you would go about resolving an accessibility issue fundamentally, right? So like this can't occur now. There's no possible way to make this inaccessible from a colorization perspective. So these are the way that we try and attack these problem spaces, is that if we can resolve the underlying problem, then you don't have all this downstream training and in this case accessibility issues that pops up as a result. So now if I reload the page and we make something, we do our hero image, and now I do dark blue, and now I do light blue. See, now we've got nice abstraction between our UI layer and our accessibility concerns. So if we reduce this subset, which we have talked about doing, right, limiting the number of colors, maybe just going like right across spectrum here or something, in this color picker, we'll have the translation between the hex value and what the thing is as a class name, so it's nice and semantic. But we'll also have the accessibility consideration to ensure that contrast is always validated. And this, I would have to test this for contrast too, make sure that that background is actually on this text is actually dark enough that you can see it. It's not to say that I covered all bases as far as accessibility, but it certainly reduces the cognitive load as far as the amount of training that would need to happen in order to teach someone how to make this accessible compared to writing the HTML natively. So now I'm going to publish this hero banner and our multiple choice question. Woo!